So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another module of Agency Incubator. Let's get straight into it. So, picking your niche. In today's teachings, we are going to go over what is a niche and why we need to focus in on specifically just one. The tale of two agency owners, the 6-month hall pass, and what I actually mean by that, systematic approach to picking a niche, doing your niche research and diving in. And lastly, I'm going to be giving you the niche research worksheet. So niching down with your agency. And this really is, if you see this, this illustration or this visual right below or right behind the text, that literally is what picking one niche and offering one service does for you. You got those customers, and it's literally like having a magnet that just attracts customers to you because you found the right market fit. And it doesn't even matter that much if you have the nicest marketing or the most social proof. People like, it's funny, even with my programs, right? With my program or anyone else's program, or even let's just say, some celebrities' product, most of, let's just say, for example, Kylie Jenner, most of her, most hardcore fans, the people who would buy her products, stuff like that, they are people who are roughly the same age as her and girls, right? Of course, that's going to be the case because you need some sort of confirmation that this person's product or service aligns with you. And that's why, I've even found it at times that, if people get into this program literally because they're like, hey, you live in London, I live in London too. That must mean that it works, even though, we have literally students from dozens and dozens of countries around the world, almost, triple digits in terms of countries. And just so many success stories from people literally living in India, Brazil, New Zealand, France, England, no matter what it is, no matter what country, but literally for that specific reason that I live in London, some people will get into this program. And it's for that exact same reason that someone will work with your agency, literally just because you work in that niche and you just offer one service. So really quickly, for those of you guys who don't know what a niche is, some people, there's always a debate. Some people will say it's niche, some people say it's niche. I literally have been saying niche for the longest time, and then people were like, no, it's niche. So just for the purposes of YouTube and stuff like that, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna say niche. And then people were like, no, it's niche. So I say it niche, I pronounce it niche. For some people, it'll be niche. But really, a niche is just a segment of the market. If you look at that pie chart above, that might be there'll be way more industries or niches and sub niches than that. But, that might be a market. And within that market, there will be a sliver of that market, a section of that market. And we can refer to that as, you can refer that to as many different things, a vertical, an industry, but we're going to refer to it as a niche. So you might be wondering, man, why just pick one niche when you could just have them all? And that's a good question. And really, to make this point, you can go wide or you could go narrow, right? You can go wide and not very deep, or you could go narrow and very deep, right? And you can see all the two comparisons here. On the left side, you can see a non-focused strategy. You're going to be wide and flat. And, you might have many different services, and you might offer those services to many different markets. Whereas this, this narrow, single-minded, focused approach that, really is, that is everything that derives from the LMRD, lean, mean, results-driven agency. That entire philosophy that, I've really been pushing for in the agency space for years and years now, that comes from, just being narrow, but having narrow and deep, basically, right? And that's really just having a focused strategy. And here it says few products in one market. Really, we're just going to have one service in one market and be the best at that. So we already used this example last time, but I'm going to be using this example again. The tale of two agency owners. You see the agency owner on the left decides no niche. He decides he's clever because, they decide they don't want to niche down because they think they have more opportunity. Technically, if they work with more niches, technically there's more clients to work with, and there's more opportunities to secure clients if they have 2, 3, or 4 niches, or at least that's what they think. And The issue with that is their retainer. You see, they struggle to get well-paid retainers from clients because they just view this person and his agency as a generalist and not a specialist. And lastly, operations. You see, their operations are a shamble because they have to tweak their approach to every new client, because while they might be offering the same service, the way to execute is very different in every single different niche, and they can't plug and play between different new clients. As I said, working with two niches literally is almost like having two separate agency businesses. Now, if we take the example on the right, this person, they pick a niche realizing that they'll make more money, earn more respect, and the best part is they'll also be able to deliver results easier while, if they have just one niche. And when it comes to their retainers, they command strong fees because they're niche specific. They speak the language of the owner and have niche specific case studies. And lastly, their operations. You see, when they get a new client, it's literally like slotting them into a predetermined predetermined machine and system. And this makes getting results for these clients simply a walk in the park. And you can see on the left side here and the right side here, that's the brain of a generalist. You see, there's so many different cogs turning, and once again, this is nothing new. People have been referring to agencies out there and service providers as generalists and specialists for 100 plus years, probably even longer than that. You really can be a generalist or you can be a specialist, but specialists just get paid more. It's simple as that, and they have an easier time delivering results. And I guess that's why they get paid more, is because they get better results for their clients, because rather than having 12 different cogs and moving parts, for example, like this visual where the generalist has, they just have one or two that they need to focus on. So what I will give you is a 6-month hall pass. So if you are new into this process, I'm going to give you a 6-month hall pass. And in this hall pass sort of period, in this hall pass phase, you can be like a kid in a candy store, literally, where you can work with this niche, that niche, et cetera, et cetera. You can work with all these different niches, and that's fine. That's fine. No judgment whatsoever. You can try a bunch of different niches, see which ones work for you, and kind of go from there. Now, after this 6 months period, you got to lock in and you just got to focus in on one niche. Now, you might be wondering, Iman, how do I actually go about picking a niche? Well, before deciding on a niche, there's a few questions you really need to ask yourself. Number one, is this client making $5,000 per month or more? And if the answer to that is yes, then that is a potential niche to work with. You see, a client who's making less than $5,000 per month, that is not an ideal client for you to work with, right? Because think about it, if they're making $5,000 per month, profit that is, how the hell are they going to pay you a $1,500 a month service fee? Unless they've got money in the bank, and they've got money in the bank, and they've got venture capital and stuff like that. It's just not going to happen. So if you're trying to help, say for example, a cleaner get more cleaning jobs, that doesn't really make sense, because a cleaner, they don't make enough to afford your services. Whereas if you're going to help a real estate agent sell more homes, that makes sense, because they're going to make more than $5,000 a month. So they're going to make more than $5,000 a month. Plus, you're just going to be a marketing expense for them, which they're already used to. They might need to pay to stage a house or whatever. So just keep that in mind. You're going to be an expense for their business. The next thing is, are you passionate about the niche? And honestly, at first, I think I undervalued how important this is. You see, IG Media, we work with other info product businesses. And what I mean by that is, some of our clients or current and previous clients include, for example, AJ Smart, which is a multi-7-figure design sprint agency out in Berlin. And they have a design sprint course. So if anyone wants to build a super successful design agency and make a living, with design sprint, they have a course on that. And, we've helped them sell over €1 million worth of that in their first year because of our services. And, I'm passionate, if you haven't already figured out, I'm passionate about the online education system. Or sorry, not the online education system, but I'm passionate about about the education system. And that's why I love being able to help people. For example, like Jonathan, who is the founder of AJ Smart. I love being able to help him and our other info product clients, people who have literally achieved a high level of success within their industry and now want to help other people do the same. I love making sure that their products get into the hands of other people. That's why, when I first started, I kind of had no niche. Some of our first clients included Zebra Fuel, Furo Systems. These were some of my first clients. Zebra Fuel, Furo Systems. There's a guy called James Taylor who's a personal trainer. Another guy called Rue who's a personal trainer. Bulgravia Garage, Knightsbridge Dental Care. List goes on and on. Just like weird, sporadic, different niches and stuff like that. And then from there, I really boiled in on gyms, which I was passionate about. I was passionate about fitness and gyms, and that worked out. And then eventually one day, I realized, I have this program called Six Figure SMA, and I'm getting pretty good at selling this thing. I'm getting pretty good at advertising for this thing. Why don't I help other infoprog businesses, aka online education businesses? Why don't I help them grow too? Because quite clearly, there's nothing that I'm more passionate about, in this world than online or education and the future of that, which is online education. So yeah, at first I really did downplay just how important having a niche that you're passionate about. I really did downplay that at first, but now I've really started to realize it's actually quite important. So ladies and gentlemen, as I said, next thing you gotta ask yourself is, are you passionate about the niche? Now, you don't necessarily have to be passionate about the niche, but you need to have a certain level of interest. You see, for example, if I wasn't working with InfoProc, I might also, one niche that really appeals to me is working with accountants. You see, I love accounting. I love accounting, looking at cash flow reports, P&L statements. I like, just figuring out different tax loopholes that are super, that aren't dodgy at all. Just basically making sure that I'm as tax efficient as possible. And, learning about different things. Like, for example, in UK, there's entrepreneurs relief, I believe it's called, which means, you only have to pay 10% on the first 10 million you make when you sell your company. And just figuring out like stuff like that, like I love that sort of stuff. I wouldn't say I'm hardcore passionate about accounting, but it really does interest me and intrigues me. So change, I guess, the second question to, are you passionate or are you interested / intrigued about this niche? And that's the next thing you got to ask yourself. And if the answer to that is yes, then, and we've already gone over why being passionate about a niche is so important, but if the answer to that is yes, then awesome, you are, you're good to go and you'll be able to move forward. So very, very quickly, just to touch on it, as I said, you'll be excited to deliver results for your clients if you're passionate or intrigued about the niche. Number two, the client will know you have a deeper reason / passion for his business. You see, with my InfoPro clients and, with our e-commerce clients, you see one of our old clients, Aura Ring, they were a client of ours for a long time. We made them a couple million return on ad spend. So almost multi 7 figures in ad spend. And the thing is, Aura Ring, 6 months before they became a client, I was literally a customer of theirs. I ordered my Aura Ring 6 months before, so I love biohacking. I love, just being super efficient, putting good stuff into my body. I love sleep and making sure I have incredibly efficient sleep, just so I have as much energy for the next day as possible. So when, Aura came to me, I think at a subconscious level, they knew that, they weren't talking about they weren't talking to a guy who needed the retainer or needed the $10,000 a month that we were charging them service fee. I think, at a subconscious level, they knew that literally they met one of their fans, one of their customers, someone who appreciated what they did as a business. So that's kind of been the same with, some of our other e-commerce clients and InfoPro clients as well. So just remember that. And number three, you'll be able to speak their language, So when I get an InfoPro client, I run a multi 6-figure a month InfoPro business. So I speak their language. So it's perfect. So this brings us to question number 3 is, as I said, if you figured out number 2, which is, are you passionate or interested about the niche? Next thing is, do you understand the mechanics of the niche? Now, let me tell you what I mean by that question and why it is so important. And to do this and to illustrate this, I want to tell you the story of how I picked my accountant. You see, when I was trying to find an accountant, on my quest to find an accountant, I had option 1, option 2, option 3, 4, etc., etc. Right? And these were all good accountants, they had a good name, good prestige, good reviews. They were all good accountants, but when I explained what I did and what payment processors I used and basically just the business I was in, they were all just like, cool or great, thanks for letting me know, blah, blah. But you see, when I went to the fifth accountant, I told them that I run an online marketing agency and I have an education business. They were like, oh, awesome. Do you guys run Facebook ads or SEO, Google ads? What sort of stuff do you guys run in the agency? And then they also asked me questions like, oh, I assume that you use Stripe, PayPal, et cetera, et cetera. And then they literally went on to tell me before I even became a client, they're like, yeah, so currently where your business is right now, here's the best practice for running an online service-based business, in terms of being as tax efficient as possible. Here's what you can expense with your sort of business. Here's what you can expense, et cetera, et cetera. So of all of these options, which one do you think I went for? Obviously, it was option number 5, the business that spoke my language and understood my business model. So with those 3 questions in mind, keep those 3 questions in mind when you are thinking of a niche. Now, I'm just going to spitball here and basically just give you a bunch of examples of common / profitable niches. So let's get straight into it. All right. Gyms, dentists, e-commerce, real estate agents, coaches / consultants, cosmetic surgeons, restaurants, car dealerships, mortgage brokers, accountants, plumbers, bars / clubs, pest control, plumbers, chiropractors, hair salon, insurance, lawyers, automotive repair shop, info product business, martial arts studio, wedding planners, personal trainers, tattoo shops, etc., etc. And you can literally work in any different niche that you want. You see, the funny thing is, I think it was around a week ago in Six Figure SMA, which is obviously the old iteration of Agency Incubator, which is the course you have right here. Someone posted that they signed their first client and it was $1,500 a month Facebook ads client. So small fish, but it was their first client, so good start. And, that was awesome. We all celebrated, as the community always does. But the funny thing was, guess what niche it was in? It was a pet hotel. So obviously, I got my mom a puppy after she went through quite a difficult divorce. So I got my mom a puppy, and obviously if she ever needs to go away or see her family back in Russia, she can leave the puppy with me. But some people don't have that option, so that's where they kind of take them to puppy hotels or pet hotels. And I think that's more of a fancy name. I'm pretty sure they're just called kennels. From my understanding, I could be entirely wrong. But my point is, people leave their pets, at this quote unquote pet hotel, and they pay 40, 50 pounds a month for the pet to stay there, to get fed, potentially even groomed, etc., and just well taken care of. But who would even thought of that as a niche to work with? So now the gentleman that I just mentioned, he works with pet hotels. So my point is, you really can make anything work, just as long as they're making at least $5,000 a month. Number 2, if you're interested or intrigued about the niche, and number 3, if you understand the mechanics of the niche and how their business works. So here's what to do once you've actually gone ahead and chosen a niche. So let's get straight into it. Once you've chosen a niche, what you need to do is you need to do some niche research. You see, the thing is, when you're getting results for a client, it really is 50% about evergreen marketing and sales. When you're getting results and when you're trying to close the client, it's 50% about evergreen marketing and sales, which is really what I'm going to teach you here, which basically just means age-old principles when it comes to sales or when it comes to marketing. You see, I'm going to be able to show you in week 6 how to get killer results for your clients using Facebook ads, and using evergreen Facebook ad strategies that work kind of no matter what. You see, I'm going to literally take you from knowing nothing to becoming an expert in Facebook ads, in the space of week 6. Now, you might know exactly how much to spend based on the audience size. You might know how to write killer copy, what sort of creatives you should be running, within a campaign, how many ad sets you should have, and within those ad sets, how many ads you should have, et cetera, et cetera. I can teach you all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, you still are going to need, that niche research, because you're going to need to know what offers convert best within that niche. You're going to need to know the economics of that niche and what makes sense, what you can give away for free in that niche. You're going to need to know the audience size of that niche. You're going to need to know what sort of audiences do you target to even find these people. So that is why once you pick a niche, it is so important to do your niche research. So below this video, there will be a niche research worksheet. You can actually find that right here. So as I said, things to keep in mind, it's 50% about universal sales principles when you're trying to sell the client, but it's also 50% about niche specific language you use to understand and close the client. And on the flip side, it's 50% about evergreen marketing and sales principles, but it's also 50% about knowing the marketing tactics specific to the niche you're working with. So it's for this reason that this niche research sheet is so important. So what you need to do is save this Google Doc, and I've created this Google Doc, so you'll just click that. Once you click that, all you have to do is press, I think in the top left, it'll be File, Make a Copy, and it'll save to your Google Doc. So, or it'll save to your Google Drive. So what you're gonna need to do is save that Google Doc, and it comes out like this. But you're gonna need that in order to fill out the questionnaire. So I want you, this is your homework, I want you to spend all of tomorrow researching your niche and then fill out the questions at the end of this plug and play sheet. So step number one is you need to understand the business model. So before you can actually get clients in the niche or get results from them, you need to understand the core of the business model. And it's for this, I recommend you watch some videos online about the business model itself, and YouTube is actually a great place to start. And after that, go to Google and type in the same stuff. So here's some good stuff that you should be looking up. So for example, how to open a gym or how to open a restaurant. Once again, it depends on your niche, or how to become a realtor, or you might want to look up how do realtors make money, how to open a restaurant, as I said, or how to become a chiropractor, or how to become a personal trainer. Point is, you need to understand what is the work that goes in for a restaurant owner to open a restaurant, or for a realtor to become a realtor, or for a personal trainer to become a personal trainer, etc., etc. And you really want to dig deeper. And you also want to find forums where real business owners in the niche you want to serve talk about the pains they face while running the business, what a regular day looks like for them, and other small details. In fact, on Quora, which is just this online, forum blog sort of thing, I don't really know how to explain it. You ask a question and people will respond. There's a lot of posts on there. For example, if you look up, what's it like being a restaurant owner? And there's literally, dozens and dozens of different people that ask that question, and real restaurant owners respond with what it's like in a day of a restaurant owner, et cetera, et cetera. Now, step number two after that is you want to get some benchmarks. So the next thing you need is to get some benchmarks for how much your average client makes in revenue, what their average profit margin is, what their average monthly expenses are, et cetera, et cetera. And Google, once again, is the best place to search for this. So here's some examples of what you should look up. How much does the average restaurant, or how much does the average realtor make a year? What's the average profit margin of a gym? How many employees does the average let's see, what's another niche? How many employees does the average restaurant have? What sort of expenses does the average hair salon have, right? Or what expenses does a hair salon have? And once again, you want to make sure you're writing all these answers down so you can compile them in the questions section below. Now, there are certain niches that are just harder to get this information from. For example, e-commerce businesses, it's going to be hard for you to look up how much does the average e-commerce business, how many employees does the average e-commerce business have, because there's just such a wide variety and range. This works better for local businesses, but if you are working with coaches, consultants, info product, e-commerce businesses, you can still make this work. And if you have past experience, then you can make this work too. Step number three is marketing specific tactics. So now it's time for you to learn more about some marketing specific tactics for your niche. Now, you would have already picked your service offering earlier in this process, and that means that you need to be finding marketing specific tactics related to either Facebook ads, Google ads, content, SEO, etc. So what I want you to do is search on both Google and YouTube how to get results for your niche with your service. So for example, how to get results for hair salons with Facebook ads or with Google ads. The next thing is your niche marketing case study. So for example, accounting marketing case study, and then your niche, your service case study. That's another good thing to look for. So for example, accounting Facebook ad case study. And you want to look out for what sort of offers did they run that converted well, what sort of pictures, videos, and what sort of text worked well. And just generally, what was the overall strategy? Were they running a free offer? Did they have a free case study video? Is that how they got more customers and leads? So really, you just want to look at what is the overall strategy and how do you take someone who knows nothing about the business and turn them into a paying customer. And as I said, we're going to be touching on this in week 6, but you need to know niche specific. Now, once you've done all of that, I want you to fill out this niche research questionnaire. So the 7 questions, I believe or 8 questions are, what is the average revenue of a client in your niche? Next thing is, what is the average expenses of a client in your niche? And actually, no, I'm not going to bother reading all these out because I've written them all out and I've given examples of what an answer to that question might look like. And once again, this page is available for download below this video. And once you get on here, make sure you save this specific Google Doc. Go file, make a copy, and it'll add to your Google Drive. And just make sure it's in your agency incubator Google Drive week 1. So let's get back to the slides. That is your niche research worksheet. And that pretty much takes us to the end of this module. So the action step is go through the niche plug and play instructions. After you download it to your Google Doc, make sure you also add it to your Google Drive folder, as I said, the agency incubator one. And once that's done and you follow the steps, fill out the questionnaire at the end. So ladies and gentlemen, it is an exciting time for you. Most of you guys, or I say most of you guys, some of you guys would have come into this process already knowing a niche, already having experience with a niche. But for those of you guys, now is your time. Now is your time to figure out, what is a good niche, so you can figure out, so you can fuse this incredible business model that, you have right in front of you. You can have this, this business model that, can bring you really just the lifestyle of your dreams, and you can fuse that with something that you're passionate about. So if you're passionate about cars, work with car dealerships, right? So fuse the passion that you have or the interest or intrigue you have in the same way I'm very interested and intrigued in accounting and tax laws, and company structure and stuff like that. So, fuse that passion that you have or that interest or intrigue with this incredible business model that, you and I have both been blessed to been exposed to, this thing that really can just change everything for us. So fuse those two together. And as I said, it's an exciting time for you in this process. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this I hope you enjoyed this business model. But hope you are enjoying the business model. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this module, and I'll see you in the next one.